cinnamon, melted sugar, and walnuts. All of that inside a pancake-shaped dough. Hello everyone, my name is Rocio Persson and welcome to my YouTube channel. Hotteok is also known as Korean pancakes, and it's a very popular street food dish in Korea. Ingredients are so basic and so easy, I'm sure you have everything you need in your pantry. We're making hotteok two ways. The classic filling with brown sugar, cinnamon and walnuts. And then we're making a special dough with black sesame seeds. And the filling is really unique. We're using matcha green tea powder, sugar, and almonds. Are you ready? Let's go. Okay, let's start from the beginning. Let's start with the dough. Mix in a small bowl 1 cup of lukewarm water and 5 grams of dry yeast. That is about 2 teaspoons. And if you're using fresh yeast, turn it into 15 grams. In another bowl, mix in your dry ingredients. Add 2 cups of all-purpose flour, 2 tablespoons of sugar, and 1 teaspoon of salt. At this point, if you want to make the special dough we talked about at the beginning of this video, add 1 tablespoon of black sesame seeds. If you want to keep it simple, just skip this step. Pour in your water and yeast mix, and finally 1 tablespoon of vegetable oil, and you're done. You could go ahead and mix everything with a spoon, but personally I would suggest you use a mixer if you have one at home. It will definitely help you to get a very smooth texture. Don't be afraid if it looks sticky. The dough should be that way. Now cover it with a plastic and leave it at room temperature for about 1 hour. Since you totally depend on the temperature of your kitchen, keep in mind that the dough should double its size. If it hasn't, then leave it a little bit longer. Let's start with the classic filling. Use a 1/4 cup of brown sugar and 1 tablespoon of cinnamon. Prepare a pestle and a mortar. Measure 3 tablespoons of walnuts and put them in the mortar. Bash the walnuts just enough to break them into small pieces. But be careful because we don't want walnut powder. Pour them into the bowl, and for an extra, if you want to, add 1 tablespoon of roasted sesame seeds. Combine everything with a spoon and you will have your classic filling ready. Let's move on to our special filling. Measure a 1/4 cup of white sugar, add 2 teaspoons of matcha green tea powder, and finally 3 tablespoons of finely chopped almonds. Mix and you're ready to go. Have a good look at the dough. It should have doubled its size. If it hasn't, leave it for a little bit longer. Punch out any gas that forms in the dough and we're ready. I will show you how to make the pancakes with gloves and without them. The principle is the same for both methods. Your hands need to be coated with oil to avoid the dough sticking to your hands. Grab a chunk of your dough about the size of a golf ball. Start flattening it out with your hand, shaping it to something similar to a dumpling wrapper. Be careful not to make it too thin. We don't want it to break while we cook it in the pan. Pour about 2 tablespoons of filling. Start folding your pancake dumpling carefully and make sure it is completely sealed. We don't want the filling to slip out. Set aside on a greased plate or surface. Let's try without gloves. Coat your hands with vegetable oil and grab another chunk of dough. Flatten it out and pour 2 tablespoons of classic filling and start gently folding this little pouch. Put your pancake dumpling sealed side down in your pan. Dip your spatula into the oil and press them gently. You want to flatten them out, but there is no need to make them super thin. As you can see, I usually make them in pairs because that is exactly how many I can fit in my pan. Be careful with the heat, the pan should not be too hot. We want them to get golden brown, but not too fast. We need the filling to slowly melt, and we get that by being careful and flipping them more than once without letting them turn too dark. Getting them out of the pan can sometimes be really challenging, as you can see. Wait for them to cool down on a rack for a minute and they are ready to enjoy.